Hello and welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle. It's April the 1st, 2025 and we are no fools. We have, in my opinion, one of the very best topics to chat about today. But be warned, you will definitely need a snack of some kind and your next trip planning spreadsheet at the ready, because we're about to help you realise that you need far more time in one park than you ever thought. It's not just about eating and drinking, it's all the things. So welcome to the show.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go. Hello everyone listening and hello to anyone watching on YouTube. I'm Claire and I am super excited to be hosting this show for the Great British Mickey Waffle, and you'll soon see why. We had a bit of a battle about who was going to pick up the baton for this one, and I won. I didn't take any messing about it. But the clocks have changed, spring flowers are out and about, hay fever season is just around the corner, so things are looking up. And today with me for our virtual outing are John. How are you, John?
I'm very well, Claire. I've got to say, I am so looking forward to this. This is one show that I think in all the 6 years that we've been doing this, that it is one of those things that, and I hope that if somebody is listening, you actually manage to just download the show, put it on your phone, and the next time you're in Epcot, stick your earphones in, and just listen to the show while you're in and around World Showcase, because that's actually the inspiration for what we're doing, and I just think this is really exciting. I really do.
I know, this is something that I think we could have done years ago but never got around to it, and we've had so many other shows that I'm just so excited about the opportunity to talk about this. Ben and Becca are with us. How are you?
Yeah, very well, Claire. How are you?
I am excited. This is going to be fun.
I'm excited for this because every guest we've spoken to recently, when we ask what's their favourite park, Epcot always comes up. More recently, it seems to be one of those things that I'm looking forward to doing our virtual tour.
I do have a feeling that we're not going to get this done in one episode though, so we might need to come back. And I don't think you've realised, Claire, that means that you're going to be hosting the next couple of shows.
Yay! Good luck to everyone.
It's important.
That baton just keeps on giving, doesn't it?
Doesn't it just? And returning today, friends of the show, and we are really happy to have you back for this one and maybe the next 3 as well. Robyn and Simon. Nice to have you back. Are you okay? How have you been?
Yeah, good. Glad to be back and excited to talk about Epcot, which is it's probably not my most favourite, but it's definitely up there.
Excellent. Well, you know what? Long-time listeners to the Great British Mickey Waffle will recall that some years ago there was a moment on the show when there was a collective sharp intake of breath. When
It was more than that, Claire.
Yeah, we edited out the swearing. Ex-waffler Sammy shared with us the fact that she had never, ever in her life, in all her trips to Orlando, been into any of the pavilions in Epcot Centre's World Showcase. After we managed to pick ourselves up off the floor, there was a little arrangement made with her for a little live tour with her and friends of the show, Jason Knapp from Here with the Magic and Soundscapes and Zach Brown from the Zach Brown Show. And they did take her on a little walk and try to educate her. But in the interest of time, it turned out to be a short wander, mostly featuring chicken nuggets. So,
There's nothing wrong with a Disney nugget.
it was a really interesting thing because she genuinely had never set foot beyond the pathway around World Showcase. She didn't know that half the stuff existed. Now, I love Epcot Centre and it's definitely my favourite park, and John, I think it's the same for you.
Absolutely.
And I can spend hours and hours just walking and sitting and eating and walking and drinking and relaxing and experiencing all the things the park has to offer, especially when you get around to World Showcase. And so for the show today, we are going to invite you, our virtual waffleers, to join us on a tour of the most epic area of this park, which I hope is going to be exciting, informative, fun, and we might even pick out some things that you've never seen, despite how many times you visited. So
I do think by the end of this we're going to be very hungry.
Yeah.
Because
I think
there's a lot of
there's
thought
that
when you
then.
go into Epcot,
Yeah.
that especially with the amount of festivals that are around World Showcase, that there's always a focus on food.
there's always a festival on.
Yeah, but
We'll
there's that
steer
part
clear
of
of
it.
the
But actually,
festivals.
yeah, but when you start to peel behind the sort of the curtain to each of the pavilions, you actually begin to pick up some of the detail that's there. Now, Claire and I had a really amazing experience last summer when we joined Matt and Crystal from Married to a Disney Addict, and we spent like 2 hours walking and just looking at the detail in the UK pavilion. And I think that gave us a little bit of confidence to actually be able to do this as a show, because actually once you start looking, the more you become intrigued as to what is in each and every pavilion around World Showcase, and not just divulging into the beer and the wine and the snacks. It's looking at what's around you, and I think that again, I think we go back in probably ever since we started doing this. It's trying to encourage people to actually get off your phone, use your eyes, look at what is in the surrounding space, because it's there for a reason and it's there on purpose. And if you're just attached to your phone and you're just going to get a drink, or you're just going to enjoy the rides that are within a pavilion, you'll never notice it, and you'll never pick up on that Imagineering and the detail in the Imagineering that's actually there. So hopefully this is what we can actually push across to you as you're listening, and hopefully it makes your next visit to Epcot just that little bit more, either a bit more informed, or you can actually get your family and you sort of drag them off the phones and say, look,
Tell them all the facts that we're about to give them.
Did you know?
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the did you know. Did you know that World Showcase was originally intended as a permanent international showcase, a bit like the expos that have happened of the past? I remember going to Expo 90 in Seville as a child. That was fun. It was not fun.
Yeah.
World Showcase is definitely more fun. Where each country could sponsor their own pavilion and share their culture, their food, and give their guests a little amuse-bouche of their homeland. Initially, it was planned to be about 30 countries, but now we've been fairly solid with a current quota of 11 since 1998, when Norway was actually added as the last country in the last section. So what do you think? What do you think about World Showcase? Do you think it's misunderstood?
I think it is a bit misunderstood. I think it's so easy. Like, I laugh about the fact that Sammy hadn't been into any of the pavilions, but I think it's so easy to do that, especially if there's a festival on and you're just going from like a food booth to food booth, or a topiary to a topiary. It's very easy to miss out the details. So I do think it's misunderstood. I think people think it's just the festivals, but there's so much more.
It's easy to bounce from bush to bush and not look at what's around you, not even a smile.
I was holding it in.
I was trying so hard there. I was just like,
Simon didn't even crack a smile.
the height of professionalism there, Claire.
What do you think people miss out mostly? What are the things that you think that people
I think
don't?
it's the details, as in like from the architectural point of view, from when you focus on like the buildings as you go around. I think the thing is you are drawn to, when you're going to World Showcase, you're entering through. First thought for a lot of people is to get on whatever attractions open.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are heading to Norway to do Frozen, and they're walking straight past Mexico, ignoring that, and joining possibly a 60 to 90 minute queue to go to Arendelle.
Or they're going in the other direction, the wrong way round,
Going the wrong way
It's a
around.
long walk. It's a long walk.
and going to Remy and missing Canada and the
Yeah.
UK.
Yeah.
I think especially when the park just opens, everyone's got that thing, I need to get that ride first, instead of actually just going what. Because on our last trip, we booked a day at Epcot. We were absolutely tired walking in, so we just decided to spend most of the day just wandering and exploring the park. And we didn't actually, I can't remember many attractions that actually we went on, but we did a lot of exploring in the pavilions that we hadn't done before.
I think you're right. I think you can just spend time wandering and looking, and hopefully that's what this is going to highlight.
Yeah.
But
Can I also point out as well, Claire, and I think this is maybe something that has come from being fortunate to go a number of times. I think when people go for that first ever once in a lifetime trip. Magic Kingdom becomes, in a way, your focal point and your real sort of focus for your holiday. When you come back to Walt Disney World, because unfortunately it kind of has that elastic band effect that the more you kind of fight against it, it pings you back eventually. But you then become intrigued as to what is this place called Epcot, right? Let's go and have a little look. So you get beyond the sort of the front of the park, and then you make that. It's kind of a leap of faith, isn't it? As you leave behind Spaceship Earth and you're actually going straight ahead, and you're suddenly thinking, this is not like any theme park I've ever been in, because actually there's a big lake, I've got a choice of 2 different directions, and actually it's all about countries, and that seems a really bizarre thing, and I also feel it takes a little bit of actually getting your head around, because I think we've said this when we've had guests on the show, they very often say it took me a while, but Epcot has got there and it's got me, and it probably has done the same for an awful lot of people, where once you actually start to understand why some of these countries are there and what is actually in each pavilion, that's when it becomes your go-to park. And like you said, Ben, it doesn't matter if you're really tired or you just want a day away from the crowds. It has the ability to do all these things. I think that's the bit, and once you understand it, you go from there. And I think that for me is the most important thing to remember. It might not be immediate, but it stays in the heart a lot longer than any other park in the world.
I think you're right, John. I think it does take that little bit of, faith, trust and pixie dust, just to be able to go with the flow and just enjoy it for what it is, and don't overthink this. You know, it's an amazing experience if you just allow it to wash over you and enjoy what's on offer. So anyway, let's go. I'm gonna start us off by saying vamos.
Let us go.
You chose the easy one, Claire. Have you noticed that?
I'm hosting. I get to win
yeah,
this.
I know. Yeah, I could have gone vamos very easily, but I've got Wuman Zubar.
Las uns gehen. Did I pronounce that all right? We all know my pronunciations because I'm rubbish.
I have no idea if I'm going to say it right, but it's like andiamo.
Yeah, andiamo. Yeah.
Andiamo. There we go.
And I'll say psycho.
Was this good? This was totally on purpose, wasn't it? What is it?
You just say the bit in brackets, Simon.
I've been practicing that all day, Simon, and at last minute, Claire's giving it to you. And I'm more pleased the fact that you got to do that, because it's.
And he hasn't practiced
I've
once.
done no practice on this.
Go on then, Simon.
Da anadab.
I'll do.
I've got Danan. I've got Danan.
Yeah.
No. It's the only way to remember.
I apologise to all Arabic speakers that are listening.
I could do the English thing. I could say it louder and slower. Would that help?
At least I got a nice easy one in Alonzi.
Yeah,
Right.
you're very
Right
best.
then, let's be off.
Yeah, that's the British way.
That's
They
the
slap your
easiest
thighs.
one.
Yeah.
You've got to slap your thighs, go right there.
Right then,
Let's be on.
let's be off.
Okay, so to avoid any quarrelling or questions, we're going to make the assumption that we've entered the park through the main turnstiles, we've walked past Spaceship Earth, through World Celebration, mourned the loss of the Fountain of Nations, and are approaching World Showcase from the port of entry and in the centre. So that means we shall be turning left and left only to head to Mexico. End of
It's the
discussion.
only way to
See,
go.
I've got this thing. They need to
Don't
start
be
putting
starting to argue with me. Ben.
Oh no, I'm not arguing. I'm agreeing. What they need is one of those sort of signs
One-way
saying one way
No.
sign.
Yeah.
It'd be pointing the wrong way if it points to Mexico, though.
No, but you're coming in. You're coming in at International Gateway always. That's
Let's
why
be
I made
honest,
it
let's
very,
be
very
honest.
clear. We're coming in past Spaceship Earth.
But if
And
I
there was
came
only
in
one.
from Spaceship Earth, I would go to Canada first.
Would you?
Just to be, yeah, I would.
Well, you would
Because
be
that's
wrong.
the right way.
Because that's the right
This
way.
is the right way, but
not
is it the right way?
It's the incorrect
Not the
right
correct
way.
Not the correct
way
Not
is
the
even-
correct way.
It's even reflected in all of the festival guides. the
And they're
order
all wrong.
always goes.
If you turn them over and read them like
Backwards?
something,
If you read
Yeah.
it back to front, yeah.
yeah, then they're the correct
In the
way.
wrong
If you hold it up to a mirror and it's like in,
Read it.
In an orienteer, it needs to be an orienteering sort of situation. You look at the map, orientate it correctly, and you go that
Do you know
way
what?
to Mexico.
I thought you meant orienteering like the Cub Scouts and the
I
Scouts
thought
used to
that's what
do,
you meant
with
as
like the
well.
2 sticks on the ground and then like
Yeah,
3
absolutely,
stones
Claire.
placed in the flower
Yeah.
bed.
Oh no, no, you want the proper orienteering. That's good.
Oh no. Okay, we're going to Mexico, and that's the end of it because it's
Okay.
my show and I don't care.
Amazing show.
So, what is the first thing that you notice on that walk towards Mexico? And if Simon says that you're going the wrong way, I think I might.
That was exactly what I was going to say. I would notice I'm going the wrong way and immediately turn
Say
round.
that.
There's someone shouting at you from the distance going, you're going the wrong way, we're going this way.
I knew that's what was coming.
I would like to say I first noticed that the margarita stand's got
Yes.
quite a long line.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is genuinely what I would notice first. But you go over a little bridge kind of that takes you from Epcot.
Sort of
I
world
forget- what's it?
celebration.
World
centre bit,
celebration.
yeah.
Yes, that's the bit.
Yeah.
I forget. I always want to call it Future World.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
try. I'm
it's-
trying.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bridge, there's just like a tiny little bridge takes you over and it's setting the scene for entering Mexico. I really feel like that is part of like the movement from one area to another. And you can feel it just as you go over that little bridge.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just the music changes at that point as well, doesn't it? You get that slight coming in of the music around the Mexico Pavilion as you come over that little bridge. And actually, when I was writing the notes of the show, I actually haven't written anything about sound. So I've realised that I completely missed one of the huge elements of World Showcase by not writing anything, not reflecting that. But I think you do get that smell from the cantina, as you and the view of the sort of. I always feel like the pathway narrows a bit. I don't think it does, and maybe it is just the queue for the margarita stand that's making it feel a bit narrower.
Yeah.
But it feels like everything just gets a bit closer together at that point. There's definitely lots of people usually.
Yeah.
But it's also very well designed because actually that narrowing or seeming narrowing of the pavement, it kind of forces you, and there's a slight turn to the right. So the only thing you can actually see as you come across the bridge is this huge pyramid in front of you, and you've got no other distraction from and you basically you're blinkered on either side by food and drink offerings. And so you're just getting that complete immersion within the space of walking about 10-20 meters, and you feel as if you're actually there. And again, I know we talked about false perspective and things like that in the past, but this is one where it really does just, like you say, Robyn, you just come into, you just like, you cross the bridge and it's like flicking a switch, and you suddenly, you forget that you've got like the rest of a theme park there.
Yeah.
You're now into it like a real cultural experience, and one that, again, just open your eyes and let that magic come to you, because it's all around you.
And I think from various places around World Showcase, it's really difficult to see Spaceship Earth. From the Mexico side of that little humpback bridge. If you look back over your left shoulder, it's actually quite hard to see Spaceship Earth exists, and that ability. And certainly, when you look at things like the building for Guardians, that is all completely washed away into the background with a clever painting and stuff. So you do lose some of those sites quite quickly. The sight lines around World Showcase are incredibly well put together, and when we get round to the slightly further round the loop, we'll talk about some of those, I think, probably as well. But very clever.
Once you're over the bridge and you pass the margarita stand, Disney have done a really good job in the plants that they've used in Mexico. They're very tropical and tall, and again, that I think that's your first experience of entering the World Showcase. If you've turned left, that's your first, and you are completely transported. You can't see the front of the park at all, because the trees and the plants and the flowers are all so tall that you are completely immersed straight away.
Yeah. Does anyone else get in a queue for a margarita from La Choza de Margarita?
No, I've never had one.
Have you
Might have
not?
to try that
Not,
this
not
year.
from there. We've always.
We've always had our margaritas from inside the pyramid at Cava del
Yeah.
Tequila. Can't even say tequila today.
You've used up all your foreign words on the.
I have.
Alonzi.
Yes. I tend to get
I tell-
I tend to get a margarita
So-
from there.
Me too.
That comes as no surprise, Claire. Everyone who's listening to the show is probably going, "Yep,
Yeah.
we know that."
I tend to always get the same one. I blood orange with a tahine rim.
Yep.
And then
Sounds
also
nice.
an elote as well, which is the sweet
cool.
corn savouriness that's delicious, that's very cheap and a really great snack, and is available all year round.
Didn't even know you could get a snack there. I only ever
Oh, they
looked
do
as far as
empanadas
the-
as well.
I
Yeah.
never ever didn't even enter my head for a snack there. Isn't
You
that
just
funny?
see a sign for margarita, and that's all you're going for.
I see a frozen margarita, and I'm like, I'm here.
Do you get the festival margarita, the one with 3 different colours?
No, I don't, because I think there's a flavour in there I don't like. I've tried a couple of different ones. The last time I went, it was like a passion fruity one, and they were out, and I'd queued for ages, and I was very disappointed. But
I tell you what, they also sell, Robyn, as well, and this is a real treat. If you're not a margarita drinker, a pint of Dos Equis
they do Dos Equis.
is absolutely gorgeous because it's a totally different lager taste than anything else you get in the whole of America. So when you're on holiday and you get that, you've been there for ages and you've been sort of having to sort of make do with different American beers and stuff like that, which, you know,
There's only
I won't
so
get
many Bud
crushed.
Lights anyone can drink.
there is, yeah. But you go and get a Dos Equis, and like on Josh, we went on for Josh's 21st last year. That was his first, bad dad moment. 21st birthday. His biggest want to do was drinking round the world. So
Legally.
we stopped. Yeah, so we stopped at this place. He showed his ID. And they comped him a pint of Dos Equis because it was his birthday. And I just
Awesome.
thought, do you know something?
That's a bit.
That shows somebody there actually,
Can read
they actually
the
get it.
date of birth in
They
the
get
correct
it.
format.
Yeah, they get it. Yeah. But yeah, and again, it's one of them things that, he was there for the whole of last summer, and that's one of the standout moments for him, is the fact that on his birthday he got a free beer,
Nice.
as opposed to me
that's
paying
lovely.
for the rest of them.
yeah, I mean, technically,
That was
I'm
it.
sure he got a lot of free beers all day.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
there.
Yeah. Muggins end up buying them, but the one he went to buy himself, he got for free. Yeah, typical.
They've also got a drink that is hardly known outside, I guess, of Mexico and the US, michelada, which is not very well known.
Isn't that? It sounds like a song. Of some kind, or a dance move.
Maybe if you drink enough, you start singing. Maybe that's.
I just don't think it'd be really popular over here because it's a mix of. It's usually like tomato juice, or occasionally it's clam and tomato.
Oh my goodness!
Clamato, which is you don't even get that in the UK, so it's just not something we have here. But
I'm
it's beer.
good, thanks. I'll stick
It's-
with the margaritas.
Is
Also good.
it is like a weird mix of like a Bloody Mary with a beer, but
And fish.
without the vodka.
And fish.
Fishy tomato.
But it's also got Worcester sauce in it, if I remember
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And
Now-
like
Shouldn't
chili.
you be having
and
that
hot
on
sauce
pasta?
and
Heat it up and put
That-
it on some pasta, and that sounds right.
That sounds quite nice. But the problem is, we could start a massive argument now, because actually, how on earth do you say Worcestershire sauce? With an American
Worcestershire.
accent?
Yeah.
We could lose a lot of listeners if we
Sorry,
went to
I'm
that.
still stuck on this
so we
tomato
won't.
tomato and clam juice. I can't.
Yeah, and beer. And beer. That's the.
Beer.
And
Tomato
beer.
juice.
Beer with
Yeah.
clamato
Sounds-
juice, lime.
That's not okay.
I think no one's got orange juice in. Hot sauce, soy, and Worcestershire sauce.
That's a meal. That's not
Drunk
a
was the
drink.
person that put that
Who's
together.
going to try this in August? Because it's
Not
definitely
me.
not
I'm
me.
going to try it. I'm up for that. That sounds
Yeah, good.
incredible. Yeah,
Right,
You've
I'm
had
gonna
one
hold you
before,
to that.
haven't
Yeah.
you?
I've
grab
had
one
one
for
for
them
you.
before.
Live
Have you had it? Like,
I've had one with tequila
Not
in
from there,
with
but-
tequila as well though, so a beer and tequila in there.
Now
It's
we're
lethal.
talking.
Yeah,
That is a That is a hard no for me.
I have to say I don't know whether it had clamato. It may well have just been tomato juice.
But even
mean,
so, it sounds grim.
Best not knowing, Simon.
Yeah.
Best not knowing.
That's got to go up against the escargot croissant in France as things that are on the list of things I am never ever going to put in my mouth.
My friend's husband bought one of those escargot croissants, gave it to my friend, and she was like, "Oh, this is weird." He's like, "Yeah, it's just mushroom," and she ate it, and then he's like, "Yeah, there were snails."
Robyn, if you ever listen back to one of our earlier shows, there was that we talked about Food and Wine Festival, and Lloyd fessed up to the fact that he told his wife that they were scallops, and she was hoovering it up, and then he told her afterwards that it wasn't. Yeah, naughty. Okay, so we've got our disgusting drinks, or a margarita. And
Micheladas. 6 micheladas. There we go. That's what we're doing.
It's coming back up straight away. It's not even going in. And then you see those steps up to the pyramid, and the disabled access if you're in a ECV or in a wheelchair or can't manage steps for whatever reason you've got mobility. There is a disabled access ramp to the right hand side of the pyramid. So if you go past it, and then it's just on the left, on the far side of the pyramid, there's a ramp that you can go up rather than up steps if that's a problem for you. What do you feel as you're going up those steps? And I know that there's a friend of the show, Jason Knapp, who insists that you can smell the pavilion. I still have never experienced that.
I've never seen anyone come up with a wax melt or a candle for it yet.
No.
So I'm guessing there isn't one. But
I just
Sweat and tequila.
Maybe what he's smelling is
clamato
just...
juice. The after effects of that drink.
I'm thinking
It's
maybe
the smell
it's
of it
just
where
some
it's
damp
tipped in the flower
AC.
bed. I think that's what
Yeah, that's probably what he's smelling.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't think there is a smell. But
No.
But you do feel, as you walk towards those dark doors, the air conditioning calling you,
Yeah.
particularly on a
That's
Friday.
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
What are you feeling coming up those stairs? Excitement for the amazing AC that they have in there.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes, we're nearly there.
Yeah.
or to the point it's raining and everyone's diving for cover.
Yeah.
And then they're
quick.
realising that they're soaked, the air conditioning is on, and they're going to freeze.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. It is a bit of a... It is, the aircon is really quite good in there.
It is.
So in that lobby, when you first go inside, what we faced with, there's a couple of beautiful paper mache figures in the middle, figurines, which are huge. They're about, I guess they're like 12 foot tall, 10, 12 foot tall maybe.
Yeah, they're huge.
Sort of Coco-esque figures. And then I'm trying to remember how many of the sort of glass cases around the outside of the lobby area there are. I think there's maybe 5 or 6 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I
trying
think
to
it might
count
even
them
be
in my
more
head.
than that, you know.
And they've got bits of storytelling and figurines and information about Dia de los Muertos. So the Mexican Day of the Dead festival, which obviously Coco centres around as a movie. Do you stop and have a look at that stuff? Have you ever stopped and look at the stuff in the glass cases? Because I just see people walking past it.
Not for not wanting to. Usually it's because it's so busy you can't stop in there without getting run over by someone else.
There's also an ECV.
Oh my dear. And
This
you
is
just
good.
feel
Well,
like you're in
you
someone's
talk about the
way.
ECVs. I get into trouble when I start talking about ECVs. So go yourself.
I think it's my time to mention it, but yeah, I think it's one of those things you want to spend. It's those difficult things where there is stuff to see, but when it's very busy.
Apologies.
Making its feelings known.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, if they ever get to make an Egyptian pavilion, we know that you'll be the star.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always difficult. But yeah, we've tried to take notice of what's
Tried to
there.
look, never actually been able to fully stop because there's always other people trying to push you forward
Yeah.
and you feel like you're in the way.
I think it's one of those places though, Becca, and I think this is another advantage. When our kids were younger, the actual kid cot stop was right in that area. So as they're busy colouring something in, and they're doing all the kid cut stuff, it allowed me the opportunity to go and actually have a look properly in my own time. And again, when it was a little bit quieter as well, it's fascinating. And I'm with you, Claire. All you ever see is people just walking straight into the pavilion. And in many, I would probably say around about 80% of the people have no recollection of that area. You come in from the heat, you come in from the light, and you're suddenly into quite a, this is like the ante room, because actually when you go further into the pavilion, it's much darker. So it's a good opportunity to actually allow your eyes to actually adjust to the lack of light.
Change your glasses.
But then to inform yourself of what's actually around, and loads of people just miss it. So if you listen to this, don't miss it, because it's actually, I think it's beautiful. I really do. And irrespective of the film, I think it's really very much about Mexican culture and that Day of the Dead. I feel you can't miss out on that, because it's such a big part of their way of life.
I think the whole pavilion is based around that, and you know, there is obviously a bit of a cocoa theme in a very loose way when you go in. And you know, those big digital screens. Has anyone else done a million? Insist on doing it every time I go in. You know, the digital screen where you can make your own. It takes an image of your face, and you can make yourself into a Coco character. It's quite cool.
I did not know that was there.
Yeah, there's one on each side when you get towards the slope down into the main area of the pavilion. And actually, if you don't have PhotoPass, it is one of the photos that you can get for free in your PhotoPass album, which won't have any watermarking on it.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll have to give that a go next time
cool.
we go.
You can make yourself into a expired Mexican man.
we need to try that in August.
It's fun.
Yeah.
One of the things that they've introduced probably in the last year, or maybe 18 months, is a one-way system when you get to the top of that slope down into the pavilion. And it tends to be go to the right to La Cava de Tequila and to the marketplace, and then to the left to go to the Three Caballeros attraction. And that just annoys me, because I don't really want to stand in that big queue, and I quite like to choose which way I want to go rather than people tell me. But they're quite forceful about it now.
Yeah, at that actual point though, Claire, and this is again, put yourself in that position that as you actually enter that actual pavilion, there's kind of a balcony area that overlooks the entire interior, and one is a cracking place for photographs, and two, it's just a wonderful place to just soak up the place that you're looking into, and with the whole view towards the volcano in the right at the very back of the pavilion. And for me, that always again takes me back to doing, was it Kim Possible and all the different Phineas and Ferb trials and tribulations. It was a wonderful one, because actually one of the actual parts of it was actually to make sure that you watched the actual volcano erupting, and then you actually got those special effects that came into the right hand. I think it was the right hand side of the volcano as you were playing the game. But again, missed by so many, because you actually
I didn't know that
you're either going for a drink, or you're going to the ride, and actually, it just take a bit of time and just look at it, because actually it feels very much like a Mexican marketplace. You've got a real buzz within the whole pavilion. You actually get that atmosphere as you just stood watching, rather than being in the market.
Yeah.
And you're just able to just sort of just soak it up a little bit.
It was quite interesting when we were there at Christmas a couple of years ago, that it was so cold outside, the mariachi band were inside playing.
Oh wow!
So it was
That must have been good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was
Right. Loud.
It really was. It was brilliant.
The most lots of people remember the Mexico Pavilion. It's really very iconic in terms of that Disney magic of feeling like you're outside when you're inside. In the same way that maybe Pirates of the Caribbean does that a little bit as well. The way in which the Imagineering has created this fake dark nighttime, and you feel like you're in an outdoor marketplace. The sounds, the lighting is so very clever. And I think that anyone who's been there will often remember that, and they and you talk to people about, did you go to Epcot? Oh yeah, I remember the Mexico Pavilion. It is one of those things.
It feels a lot bigger when you're inside than what you think from the outside. You don't
You're
realise
going
how
on the old
much.
Doctor
Doctor
Who,
Who.
going back to Becca along the line with the TARDIS.
Yeah, it's bigger on the inside.
I don't know how big the pavilion is, how far back it goes. It must be massive, actually.
Yeah.
if you were to look at a bird's eye view on Google.
When you think from like Three Caballeros, how far that goes back. And
Yeah, it's much bigger than you think. But
Trying
that
to-
market,
Simon's actually got it on Google Maps. He's been looking at it. And the size of it, if you look at the pyramid at the front, you must be able to fit 20 of them inside.
I say that's just a facade at the front. I
Yeah,
think,
the
and it's
facade out the
huge.
front is tiny. The bit out the back is huge. It goes a long, long way. I suppose they have to account for the ride as well.
Yeah.
But it's nearly as far back as the loop on Test Track. You can see the back.
Yeah,
of that
that's
building.
what-
Yeah, that's
the
that.
loop.
I was going to say that, Simon, because actually, and again, once Test Track reopens, the good one for you if you're on that ride is trying to look
At the
rather than shutting your eyes and actually being sort of frightened of the 64.9 miles an hour. Actually look at some of those buildings, because that actually
backstage.
is the backstage part of a lot of World Showcase.
cast member parking lot that you're going
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
And the perimeter loop for the cast, and that's the bit that isn't that the bit that they use for marathon weekends and stuff as well, I think. But anyway, it's a big space. But that market's place is really cool. I love the fountain. I don't know anyone else that
It's a gorgeous
you know,
mountain. A lovely spot to sit.
right. So that's the thing that
It's a great place to sit.
grab a drink and just sit on the edge of the fountain and enjoy looking out and around at other people and all the things that are going on, and look up. I think a lot of the pavilions we talk about do take the time to look up and look at the theming, at the beyond your direct eye line. There's so much effort gone into making those buildings, the plants, the painting, the things like the shutters and the doorways and everything. There's got so many different elements to it and different styles of architecture.
They've got the lights strung from building to building as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
They have, yeah.
Like little
I was just thinking about
lanterns.
it. You forget, all of it until you start talking about it. You go, oh yeah, that bit there and that bit. There's a shop on the left hand side. I can't remember what it's called. It's got marigolds all over it. In terms of the Day of the Dead theming, it's just absolutely stuffed full with marigolds, which are a really important part of the story. So that's what you see in Coco. They're not real. They're Disney marigolds, but they look beautiful. Has anyone bought anything from any of the stalls?
No, not for
we-
lack of wanting to.
Yeah, we did try last year, because actually, if anyone's actually looked at the photos of Claire and I's Halloween party costume, Joe was going as a Mexican, and we thought, I'll tell you what, that's one thing we can't take with us on the plane, because actually there is no way you are going to get a Mexican sombrero. Let's go and we'll find one when we're in America. Bad move. The Mexican Pavilion does not sell big sombrero hats anymore, and they used to. No,
I mean,
and it
everyone's had a
shocked us
photo
because
taken.
everyone's absolutely not one to be seen in that whole pavilion.
Devastated.
I didn't know that.
But then we actually saw the mariachi band outside, and actually, in the past, they probably would have been wearing them. Not one to be seen there. And then we suddenly started thinking, right, okay, there's a deliberate decision here, and I actually applaud them, because actually it's that little bit of cultural misrepresentation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereby
Yeah.
probably nobody in the whole of Mexico wears one of them big sombrero things and carries a straw donkey under the arm as they get off the plane. Like circa coming back from Spain in 1970s. Everyone used to do that when you come back from no, I didn't. But we thought that was nailed on, because that's the only place I've got pictures of the kids when they were younger, and it's like, oh, put the massive sombrero on, we'll actually take a picture, because it's one of them really funny moments.
Not now.
No chance. No.
Missed your opportunity.
No. Really? Yeah,
I didn't realise they'd
actually,
stopped selling them.
No, I was quite disappointed because we actually end up having to go around umpteen other shops. Sombrero.
You end up on a mission. I think there's some really cool stuff to buy. They've got a good supply of, in the last year, the Three Caballeros merch. That's fairly new.
Okay.
They've got t-shirts, they've got plush, they've got all sorts of lounge flies and all sorts of stuff. But then they've got some more traditional things. So they've got some crafty things. They've got an amazing stall which has got fantastic margarita glasses. The chunky, thick glasses, the big margarita glasses with a blue rim. They're amazing, but they are quite expensive.
One day I'm going to pick up one of the little wooden carved animals that they've got in there.
You're going to remortgage your house?
Yeah, that's what I said one day. Once I've won the lottery.
Because those wooden carved animals are amazing.
Yeah,
As are the paper mache things that they sell, but they're just so expensive. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anyone buy one. You'd be the first.
I've seen a lot of people look, but that's it.
I've looked.
Yeah, and then they probably turned it over, looked at the price,
Put
and
it back
thought,
down.
no, bit pricey that. We'll just give that one a miss.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I think my voice could be heard telling Millie to stop touching things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember it well, Claire.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah,
Put it
come
down.
away, come away from there in case it breaks.
Step away. There is obviously La Cava del Tequila, which is famous, infamous. I don't know what you want to say about it in terms of being an excellent drinking spot if margaritas are your thing. They have an extensive menu. They have seasonal margaritas. They do have a small number of tables inside. I think it only probably sits like 40 people in there.
Yeah.
It's small, really small. Apparently Neil Patrick Harris has his own reserve table that has always got a reserve for NPH written on it, regardless of whether he's around or not.
That's handy. So if you go in and just say a table for Mr. Harris, you might be all right. That might be okay.
You can sit in and drink. You can stand at the bar and drink, or you can get a takeaway drink if you want to. And I think most people end up going and getting a takeaway because you cannot.
I've
I would say that
I've never done
it's
it.
really hard to get a seat.
Yeah. I always see. I don't know if I'm just always coming at it at the wrong time of day, but the queue's always so long. That I always puts me off. So I haven't actually ever been in.
I'll say we've been relatively quite lucky.
Yeah.
We've only been in a couple of times, but
First time we were actually able to sit inside.
yeah.
Gosh, I mean, I think last time I was there in Food and Wine, the queue went up the slope and then had the switchbacks set out in the lobby area, that ante-room, and had all the switchbacks all the way through the lobby. It must have been
No margaritas worth that.
an hour at least.
That's what
to
I've
get in.
seen. That sort of queue, at least queuing up the ramp, and I always go.
Why would you wait that long?
No.
I don't
A
know.
lot of time I think those are for seats though. If you go up to the door and just say, want to buy an alcohol and then leave.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I'm fairly certain that's what we did last time.
Yeah.
There's a fairly famous avocado margarita.
Oh,
It's
don't-
horrible,
we
don't
don't.
get it.
Yes.
I
It's
wasn't
disgusting.
That was the
I
first
wasn't
one.
gonna-
We tried. We bought these drinks and I was like, no. But that was also the first time that I tried crickets, which I
I've
have to
never
admit,
tried the crickets.
don't taste as bad as they sound.
Which tasted worse, the margarita or the crickets?
The margarita.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes.
It's that bad. It doesn't appeal
it's-
to me. Avocado, melon, blah.
That's an odd thing where you're saying I'm eating these crickets to get rid of the taste of the margarita.
Yeah.
$20 as well. I think that's a bit of a pricey mistake to make, isn't it? You know?
Oh, no. It's not a pricey mistake to make because you're in Disney. You can just go back and say, I don't like this, and they'll make you a different one.
That is
and I
also
don't
true.
Yeah, but I'm British.
don't
and
think
I
that's
don't
the-
do that.
Yeah.
It's also
but
Also,
not
it's
the
even
most
a
expensive.
less pricey mistake when someone else is buying
No,
it
it's-
for you. Thank you very much for buying it for us, by the way.
There is other more expensive drinks
There is.
at
I think-
La Cava.
What's the one that people talk about? Is it the one? There's one called Black Magic or something like that. I can't remember.
Which
I
can't
don't.
remember.
I tend not to head in there. I'll be happy with my one from outdoors.
Yeah, that's me, Claire.
trying to remember the one that I had last time. I can
Have
never
a quick
remember
look at
it.
the menu. There's probably an awful lot of stuff on here.
I mean, while you're looking at the menu, what about what used to be in the pavilion. I'm just thinking, I remember back to the 90s, and it was El Rio del Tiempo was the attraction rather than what there is now. And that was a story all about, historical Mexico. Same ride layout, different facades and slightly different screens, obviously.
Yeah.
I didn't know it had ever changed.
No,
I'd
I
only
didn't.
ever
Yeah.
done it the way it is.
That's why there's those Mayan temples that you go through,
Okay.
and that was part of the original story.
Okay.
Oh, I want to do the original story now.
Well, yes and no. The attraction is obviously Three Caballeros, and we have Jose Panchito and Donald. Donald! ¿Dónde está Donald? As we all shout as we go around. I love it. I actually love the Three Caballeros attraction.
I
know
do.
it's just a
I
little
do.
dark boat ride,
Yeah.
but if you can get round there without singing along,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with you.
You haven't. Yeah. It's such a good attraction, and it's for everybody. It doesn't
It
matter.
really is. It's feel good,
Yeah.
and you'll be singing the tune all day. It's brilliant,
It's Epcot's version of It's a Small World.
It is.
but better
Yes,
with better song.
Yes.
But it's so good though, because it's one of those songs that even now, and if you listen to this in the car, I'm pretty certain someone in the car has probably started singing it already. It's one of them tunes. It really is. It's just like, yeah.
As a family, we always do it in harmony. It's just one of those things that when you get to
You're that family.
we are that family.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's Millie who does it. She harmonises. It's brilliant.
Wow.
But
You
I
carry
love
one of
it.
those little tuning things with you as well, so you can get
Like Dapper Dan style.
the finger
Simon,
in the air, eyes
always-
closed.
I
You
always
get
have
that.
one of
Maybe
those.
maybe they use as you're going onto the ride, and it's all the old-fashioned metal sort of turnstiles
Yeah.
and things like that. Maybe it's just a little
Little
tune.
tuneful. Ding. Okay, get my note.
I'll be ready.
I have to say, the switchback queue, it feels very close.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
friendly queue.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too close proximity for me, and I think when it was COVID and they put the glass screens up, the plastic
That was
screens between the sides, I think I had it likened to me like you were a rat being funneled down
Yes.
a tunnel,
Yeah.
But
or
you
one of those
didn't have to.
hamster cages with the tunnels that people had.
But at least you could escape other people a
People.
bit more with the
Yeah.
the plastic down there.
Yeah.
You didn't have someone breathing down your neck or
It does-
two people
in your
from either
face.
side.
It does
Yeah.
feel kind of in your face a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
And apparently, so the Three Caballeros attraction has just recently reopened. It was down for a short refurb where they've updated the digital screens with new. I mean, the story hasn't changed and the content hasn't changed, but the digital bits have been tidied up and cleaned up and made a bit crisper.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to see where Donald is.
I was going to say, does anyone remember when the animatronics did, or when they disappeared
Yes,
and got once
Yeah.
replaced by a plant?
it was.
Yeah.
Donald,
That was
Donald
awful.
disappeared for a
That
little
was
while.
awful.
We do remember we were there when they'd stopped functioning fully.
Excellent.
Yeah, they'd only just opened and we got really excited and then we went round and they weren't
Oh,
working.
no.
Yeah.
Sad times.
I love the fireworks bit at the end.
Yeah.
That's all been
Yeah.
updated and cleaned up and tidied and new
That's good.
light bulbs put in.
Nice.
So that's fun. I like it all, and it is one of the
Yeah, I
things
do.
that I absolutely will do every time I'm in World Showcase.
And as well, Claire, it used to be one of those rides that was, especially when you've got young children, it always used to be completely walk on. And
Yeah.
now it's a lot more popular than it possibly ever had been,
Yeah.
But if you can
I've
get
seen
it as
it 30
walk on, it's a
30 to 40
yeah.
minute queue.
yeah.
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 Wow.
Especially on a hot day, everyone's like, yeah, I'll queue up inside in the air
It's air
conditioning.
conditioning.
And
Yeah.
heads up, what you can't do is go and get a drink and take it on the ride with you. You're not allowed to join the queue with a beverage, an open beverage.
Oh, I didn't
So-
know that.
People go and buy a margarita and then go to get in the queue and they're turned away. So you have to drink up your beverage before you get in the queue line. I believe I not that I've experienced that obviously. But, what about the San Angel Inn, the lovely restaurant in the marketplace? It's down a few steps. It's actually quite a big restaurant. There's a lot of covers. I think it's probably seats 100, 200 people maybe.
Never been.
Never
No.
been.
No.
Oh,
Been
I've
on
never
our list.
found anything I want to eat on the menu.
That's the key one there, Robyn. Because actually, I would love to go and eat
Me
there.
too.
It's one of those places
Yep.
that you'd feel part of the ride, because everyone sort of as it meanders through sort of part of the restaurant, and you actually then sit down. And we've booked it about 3 or 4 times, and then we cancelled, because actually when push comes to shove, you look at the menu and you think,
Yeah.
even and they do change it seasonally. So if you make your booking on the old fashioned way for free on the dining plan was, you book like 90 days in advance, and you think, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll wait. I quite like the early year menu, and then when you go in the summer, it's like, ooh, okay, that's a bit harsh. I don't think we'll be eating there. Let's go somewhere else. It's got a little bit more of a better choice. It's probably not the. I don't know. There's something about it. It just doesn't. It doesn't appeal as a menu, and that's a sad thing, because it's a place I'd love to go and eat.
I can't even
think-
remember what's on the menu.
so it's very traditional Mexican. It's not tacos and fajitas and
Yeah.
things like that. It's more.
That might be why.
It's more traditional. So there's things like mole poblano. There is chicken with like the green sauce and stuff. So it's slightly not tourist. What I would consider like
There's no chicken tenders.
It's not a posh Taco Bell. Put it like that.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
actually slightly more traditional in terms of the menu. So I think that may
Authentic.
authentic. It may put
Yeah.
some people off.
I think there are chicken tenders on the kids menu.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. I can go now.
Right. We've eaten there several times.
I've got enchiladas on the menu. I'd be happy.
I went there. If I was to ask my dad, I think it would be his favourite restaurant in all of Walt Disney World.
Wow.
Particularly for the setting rather than necessarily the menu, but he likes the menu as well, and it would be somewhere that he would always used to go. My brother also loves it. Again, it's about sitting by the water and watching the boats go by and things like that. For me, it wouldn't be up there. I wouldn't choose to go and book it. I think there's other options that are better.
I think that's the thing. I'm looking through and just looking at the price of what you're paying.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
And then it's not the cheapest place. And then if you're limited on what you want to eat as a family,
Yeah.
and if you've got a few picky eaters, I know we or me,
And even if
I
you
know what
even
I
if you were
like.
yeah,
but even if you go into the cantina outside, which does do sort of
Tacos and-
the count service options and things like that, you kind of sort of find yourself heading towards that one. I don't know. It's a really strange one, because you actually find. I'm trying to think of the best way of describing it. You've got a choice of either, if you want to go indoors there, you've also got the choice if you want to go to the hacienda, which is overlooking the lagoon, which then offers the fireworks view, etc. So again, looking at the menus, you've got a massive choice between how you actually dine within within that whole pavilion. And actually, I think I would be more inclined to look at certainly tacos and the enchiladas at the hacienda is a little bit more appealing than the choices that you get within the actual overlooking of the ride. I think it's I don't know. You got everyone's got to make their own choice,
Right.
but actually it's one of them. It's a really difficult one when you're in Mexico, because by the time we get right the way round, it might be 2027 or something. By the time we get right the way around World Showcase, but there are so many eating opportunities. You simply you're spoiled for choice, and I think there is.
Yeah.
There definitely is better choices.
We ate at the hacienda last year, and actually, it's the first time I've ever eaten there. And I think it does get overlooked 'cause it's not open at lunchtime; it's only open in the evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it has these beautiful big windows that overlook the lagoon. So if you're there at book a table at 8:30, you can absolutely sit inside and watch Luminous, and you get a perfect view. It's really nice. We were super surprised by the food. I was over the moon. I think it is a really good value restaurant. I think the food is excellent. I would be happy to go back there many times over. There was lots of things on the menu that I thought were very accessible. They had good vegetarian options. They had, a mixture of price points. And actually the food all came out really hot. It was very tasty. It was, when he wanted it to be spicy, it was actually spicy. It wasn't like Disney spicy. And I kind of felt that maybe is a bit of a hidden gem in terms of restaurants, because you can pretty much always get a booking. You can always get an ADR, and if you can't, you can always get a walk up, because it's people don't even realise it's there.
Is that the place that if you go to the quick service at lunchtime, you can actually walk around and go and eat inside? Yeah. I've done that, so I have been inside there.
Yeah, but in the evening they've got their own menu and restaurant, and the servers are great, and I definitely think it's a bit of a hidden one. Because of the fact that at lunchtime people just go and sit in there and they don't realise that it's a different restaurant in the evening.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't. Yeah.
There is a price difference, though, isn't there, between La Hacienda and La Cantina?
Yeah.
I think
And there's another price difference to the San Angel Inn as well, so it's sort of middle of the road a little bit.
Yeah.
So then, as you're coming out of the pyramid, what's the most important thing that you need to remember to do?
Turn left, I feel like.
Sunglasses.
Put your sunglasses on.
Sunglasses every time. That's it.
You are
It's
going
just like,
to.
It feels like you're on test track. You've just gone through that bit where it's like being blinded.
Yeah.
It's burnt retina time, isn't it? Yeah.
It's, especially if you've been in there for a little while. You come back out and you do feel like you're sort of coming towards the light. It's like squinting time. And,
Yeah.
it's also make sure you've got a full margarita for when you leave.
Just to help you get to the next
Second or third.
Second or third. Wow.
Second or third. I'm not making it to Norway if it's my second or third.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long day.
It is going to be a long day. It is. So outside, as you go past, if you come out the pyramid, or you keep walking past, and you've gone past Hacienda, often you'll find the mariachi band on the right hand side. There's a little awning that they now stand under lagoon side to play. They're great.
Yeah.
And then opposite that, in a little setback area, there is the Donald meet and greet, and Donald wears a big sombrero.
Yes.
He does.
He does indeed, yes.
He wears a poncho and a sombrero.
I'll need to check that and see whether or not they've culturally adapted Donald.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That'd be quite
But yeah, that meet
I
and
think
greet
people
is,
might notice that one.
I think they would. I think
that
they
meet
would.
and greet's always busy as well. I don't.
It's
Yeah,
always
it's
a
always
queue.
got a long line.
Yeah, but he's there all day.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's a good opportunity to meet him in a costume, and I think that's one of the things that meet and greets around World Showcase. A lot of the time, the characters are in a slightly different costume, not as diverse as they used to be back in the 90s in World Showcase with their silver spacesuits and all of the stuff with rainbows on. But there's certainly some of them are in sort of national dress in some locations, or nationally appropriate, internationally appropriate to the area. So I'm not sure, other than the fact that he's in Three Caballeros, why Donald is in Mexico. But
and the place where the Donald meet and greet is quite important. If you're in the park and you actually notice the space that you now need to walk, there is space for another pavilion to sit right beside Mexico, and loads of people will miss it. But there is a distinctive opening in that particular area, and whether or not I know we did an Imagineering show years ago where we were talking about what we were doing, and actually talking about the fact that I think the original design for World Showcase was there was going to be like a second loop at some point to fit all the countries in, but it becomes really clever in how they kind of hide where the other countries were meant to they were meant to be, and that's the one for me that stands out, because you do have a little bit of a gap and a little bit of an opportunity. Now I know I've spoken to a lot of people. I'm going off at a tangent, but if you're in the park at night, the area just after that Mexican pavilion is, depending on which way the smoke is blowing, is a really cracking place to watch the fireworks from, and also you get really quite close to the rail as well if you're there early enough. Could be a popular spot, but maybe worth checking out as well, because you do get a really good view across.
Yeah, good tip. Right, time to say adios to Mexico. Let's move on to Norway.
Let it go.
Yeah.
In Florida, the cold never bothered us anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just walk towards the Norway Pavilion, and I think that John, you were talking last time about the that space in between Mexico and Norway, and actually they filled a little bit of that when they added the Norway extension, which they could have called Sweden, but they didn't. They added a little bit more Arendelle.
That would have been. We're doing so much for world diplomacy, aren't we? That's it. Yeah.
They added a little bit more Arendelle, didn't they? Because they added in Anna and Elsa's summer house. Summer house. How do you say it? Has everyone been in and met Anna and Elsa?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great building.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah,
It is
the
beautiful.
detail.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, they put that in in response to the 7-hour queues that people were standing in to meet Anna and Elsa in Magic Kingdom when Frozen was at the.
Those were the days,
Yeah.
weren't they? Those were the days.
But they added in this meet and greet, and I think it's probably one of the best themed meet and greets in all of Walt Disney World. It is stunning in there, and by the time you if there's not a queue, you miss stuff because you're sort of being swept through and you need to get. But there's so many things to see in terms of that Frozen story and the girls growing up and all the different elements of their childhood as they grow.
Yeah.
I love it. I think I quite happily just Anna Nelson, nice to see you. Quick photo, but actually I really like the theming in there, and it feels so. I think it's much bigger than. Again, it's like one of those TARDIS things. It's bigger inside than you realise because you're doing sort of these slightly quirky switchbacks with different things to look at.
It's the theming from the outside that it's really, really nice. It's really well done, and then you walk in and it just carries on, and it's exactly what you'd want from sort of a Frozen, but with all of these sort of accents from Norway.
Yeah. I think it's
What would also urge anyone, if you're in the queue, keep your eyes open. Look, the actual detail is actually second to none. When you get to the front of the queue, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but just look at how they work the experience with the meet and greet. It is absolutely superb. It helps keep the queue times down.
Yeah.
Once you notice it, you will then begin to see it happens in other places and other meet and greets as well. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who's listening. You have to go and see it yourself, and you have to just observe very surreptitiously how it works. And it's brilliant, and I've got to say, even the meet and greets, because of the way that they actually dissipate the queue, you tend to find that you get a little bit more time with the characters as well.
I do think you get a really good time with Anna and Elsa.
Yeah,
and I've
I
never
actually
felt rushed.
I agree.
I think that's one of the best ones, and equally, we're now a few years down the line of the Frozen sort of madness that actually came of when it came out, but the meet and greet characters have still got that real sort of zest for the character, and if you've got young children, if you are young at heart, you will get exactly what that's all about. And I think for me, it's one of those places you just go and just become a child again, and just take it all in. It is brilliant, and really great example of Disney Imagineering.
And Anna and Elsa interact with each other as well,
They do.
which is quite fun when you're there. If you meet one and then meet the other, but they do talk to each other, and that adds. You don't get that in many. So.
We did have to go and blame Elsa for when we were there in Epcot because it was -2 outside. It was very cold.
Yeah.
And then when you leave the meet and greet, you come out into is it the Wandering Reindeer store? I think it's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which has got Frozen merch in it, but actually it's a really cool store. It's got loads and loads of. It's meant to be a bit like Wandering Oaken's sort of hut with all the accoutrement and things that he has built up, and bags of carrots and things for Sven, and I remember buying a baby Sven plush or a Sven plush. Millie was desperate for a Sven plush. I agree with her. He's the best character.
I agree.
And that's where we got it. We carried this thing around. But the roof and there's a reindeer on the roof, and it's so cool. It's a really, really nice store. If you're looking for anything Frozen, you'll find it in there.
And can I also add as well, because actually a lot of people, if you've got boys who are not into the Disney princess bit, this goes beyond it. This goes actually into the, don't let your kids turn around and say, oh no, I'm not going to do it. Make them go and see it. They will love it. It does not matter one little bit.
Get a marshmallow.
It has got every bit of Imagineering known to mankind. It's beautiful.
There's that outside area, isn't there, which is in front of the Wandering Reindeer, which is that there's sort of like a gardeny bit with some seating. There's some phone chargers on the logs, again a bit like you get in the Magic Kingdom. But that's that area that they use for, I think during festival. Is it during festival or holidays where they have?
Yeah.
Yes.
They use it for the
That's St.
Storyteller.
Nicholas.
Christmas storyteller.
Yeah, I think it is St. Nicholas, the gnome
I'm trying to remember
that
who it is
comes
in
to life.
Yeah.
Norway.
Yeah,
And
it's the little gnome that comes to life, the naughty gnome.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
I saw that for the first time last year.
Oh wow.
I took one for the team. No one ever needs to see it again.
Okay. It'd be good for children. I mean, I've not ever seen it. I've seen people sitting and waiting, but I've not ever stayed and waited myself.
There's a lot of people waiting, so I had high hopes.
Okay.
And I got stuck in there, and then I was like, oh, I can't actually leave now because it would look too obvious. So I ended up seeing the whole thing.
Oh,
I think
nice.
Carrie laughed at me afterwards because I was like, oh, I really want to see it. I've never seen it. And then afterwards she's like, so how was that? And I was like, that's great.
Loved it, all of it.
It's wonderful. It was, I mean, it was nice to learn about the story. I do agree. It was nice to hear like how they celebrate the holidays. It was fun. That part was good, but it went on.
It was a once and done.
It was a one and done.
Yeah. The bathrooms in Norway, which are before you get into the main pavilion, just after that garden area on the left hand side, have been many times voted the best bathrooms in Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
they are a good
opinions.
Love
bathroom.
them.
Definitely.
Yeah, nice and
Yeah.
cool. They don't smell. They're usually clean.
They
I mean,
featured
compared
on
to
our
what they used to be like,
They're generally
I don't remember how
aesthetically
they were.
pleasing.
oh, they did smell, and they were not
Oh,
nice.
did they? Oh.
Yeah. They are quite nice. They're well themed. They're
My favourite
plentiful.
toilets are in Epcot, but those are not the ones. Maybe
They
we'll get
kind
to
of-
it at some point round World Showcase.
Almost a Norwegian-y themed version of the Rapunzel toilets at
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you get to so I think when you walk through towards the pavilion, everyone can see their amazing replica stave church, which is the wooden church that you see, which is it's a replica of a genuine stave church from Norway. Do you go inside?
We
Have
We
to.
have been in the past.
You have to.
It's
It's really
gorgeous.
funny because actually last winter, Josh ended up going to Oslo for a few days. He sent me a picture of, I think it's at the Goal Stave Church in Oslo, which this is actually a replica of. But he sent me a picture. He says, I could be at Epcot. And, it's just, and that was the first thing in his mind was the fact that look, I'm looking at something in proper Norway that actually is the same as Epcot, and that's the most brilliant thing about it. And I've got to say, I think they've lost a little bit of the old-fashioned historical element to it, with the retheming down the Frozen line. I preferred it previously because it was truly historical and truly Norwegian history that you were, but probably that doesn't appeal to many people who are going through there.
Maybe.
But
maybe not.
please do go and have a look. But when you're inside it, again, look at the exhibits, but then, like Claire said about the previous Mexico Pavilion, look up and look and see the detail within that place. It's
incredible.
beautiful, and I think even outside there's a Viking sculpture, which is I think there's a one. Is it King Olaf? I think.
Odin.
Yeah, and it's just beautiful, absolutely superb. And
Very love.
again, I just think just
Yeah.
looking at you got Thor and Loki, so you can
And Freya.
you then get, you
Thor,
get your
Loki
Marvel
and
bit,
Freya are
get
there.
your Marvel bits in, guys. There you go. That's it.
The
Yeah,
other thing, have you walked around the little balconade that's around the outside? Because you can go in through the door. There's a door at either side of it. But actually, on the right-hand side, so the lagoon side, there is actually like a narrow walkway you can walk around as well, which is quite cool. You just got to hope no one's coming the other way because it gets a bit awkward trying to pass them because it is literally one person
We
wide.
were there
and you sort
early one morning, and there was a photo pass photographer. So there was a queue for Frozen, but
Yeah.
we just went. We were just exploring, and we just had some really great photos taken.
Yeah,
I think we come in one side, come out the other, and there was a photo pass photographer there.
and actually, if you go down that little walkway around the outside, you can get some great because you can take the photos from the lagoon looking towards the state church. If you standing in that, if you've got someone who can take the photos for you, there's some really cool pictures you can get there. I like the state church. I think it's stunning in terms of the wood carving and it's authentic. It's great.
I genuinely didn't realise you could go in there.
Oh,
I knew you could walk around the outside.
What,
I've seen
now?
people,
Yeah.
I genuinely
really?
didn't know you could go in. Yeah.
there isn't. What I will say is that if you have issues with mobility and can't do steps, you wouldn't be able to get in because there are a couple of steps in and out. There is no level access entry. So
I'll definitely go in on my next trip now. I
it's beautiful.
genuinely did not know you could go inside.
And have you noticed that the roof of so next to the state church on the left hand side, there's a seating area which is for the Kringla Og Bakery, which is quite a small seating area. It's sort of behind a wooden balustrade. The roof of the bakery. Have you ever looked at the roof?
No.
It's grass.
It's grass.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is. Again,
It's
it's one of them
amazing.
things that blows your mind.
It's real grass. It's not Disney grass.
Yeah.
It's actually real grass.
Yeah, but
do
when
they
you
get
think
up there and mow it? Do you reckon? They must do.
no,
must-
cast members go and trim it with scissors. I've seen. No, they do.
they?
Yeah, they do. But one of the things that you need to be mindful of is this is Florida,
Yeah.
and they're trying to keep a grass roof alive in the most amazing conditions, and I just think it kind of goes. I wonder if maybe overnight, every night, maybe do they put a sprinkler on it?
They must do.
Yeah, just
They
to
must
try
do.
and get some moisture into it.
I've
It
just got
goes
visions
against
of
the
a
laws
cast
of
member climbing up
gardening.
on a ladder with a watering can.
Yeah,
Like, if they can keep
And
those
scissors.
topiaries
And scissors.
alive
Yeah.
yeah.
and
It's true.
functioning, they can keep a grass roof.
Yep.
Yeah. So the grass roof is very cool. So then walking round to the front of the I guess what you'd say is the main bit of the pavilion, which is where you can see Frozen Ever After and you can see Akershus on the right hand side. You've got the bakery on the left. Everyone been in the bakery
Yeah.
multiple
Yes.
times.
Yeah.
What's your
Again,
order
must
of
do-
choice?
Must do in the bakery.
What's your order of choice?
I usually get the cream puff with the fruit on it.
Oh, I've never had that.
Ooh.
I'm sure that's what I usually get.
Yeah.
It's a cream puff. They're cut in half and it's full of cream, so it's like sits up.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, it's like
To be
yellow.
fair-
It's like yellow on the top, is it?
Yes. It's been a
Yeah.
while since I've been there, so maybe it's not on the menu anymore. It's been a few years, so. But that's what I
Simon,
always
what do you
used to
get?
get.
School bread. Always school bread.
I think
we've had
sometimes
the
the
apple
school
cake
bread can be a bit stale sometimes if it's
Yeah.
later in the day, but if it's in the morning, it's usually good.
It's all right, considering we're going round this way. We'll be here early in the morning.
And that's why we go round this way, so you don't get stale school
Absolutely.
bread.
Yeah.
But it means I'm drinking margaritas at 11 a.m.
That's do you know what? If you have the avocado margarita, then you've got it's like a breakfast margarita. It's like avocado toast. It's just the liquid version. It's like blended. Ben, Becca, what do you get?
The Kringler, normally the chocolate one.
I think last time I got the same thing that Robyn was talking about, but
Yep.
I think I can't.
You can't.
Yeah. I don't think it's on the menu now, so I'm
No, it's not on the menu. I've just looked at
No.
it.
Oh, wow.
So looking at this menu, I wouldn't mind
Sometimes.
trying the Lefise.
The left.
Lefse.
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 The Lefse.
Lefse. That's
The lefse's cool actually. It's almost like a sweet tortilla which has got butter and sugar wrapped around and then chilled. It's a bit weird, but it's very tasty.
That sounds nice.
John?
They do a really nice cinnamon roll in there as well. Don't just, if you're into your cinnamon rolls, this is one of the nice places to just go and enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything bad on the menu.
I'd say
There
going to
isn't,
get the Viking coffee.
I've had the Viking coffee. So I tend to get the Kringler, but the almond one.
Okay.
And I have had the Viking coffee. And I know a lot of people love it. I have an issue with the bits that look a bit like Cocoa Pops on the top. I don't like those. I don't want crunchy cereal on my alcoholic coffee. Thank you very much. It's just a bit weird.
It's got Baileys in it. Is that the one that's got Baileys in it?
Coffee and Baileys and...
They do as a hot one though, don't they?
They do that as a hot one. I don't think I'd want... They do a
There's
frozen
two
one, they
different-
do a
there's a hot
chilled
one.
one, and they do a hot
There's a
one.
chilled and a frozen one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I've
the
had it.
chocolate crunch that just doesn't.
Yeah, I don't like the chocolate crunch bit.
We've
I've
had it
asked
on a
them-
coffee
I've had it
from
before without, and it was better.
Galaxy's Edge, and it was just like, yeah, this isn't right.
You kind of
Is
have
it
to
just
scoop
like
it off,
soggy cereal?
Well, no, it
Yeah.
stays crunchy. That's the thing. I
Yeah.
don't know what it's made from, but
It's like stale bits of.
So it's a bit
Yeah.
like
Like
stale bits of,
polystyrene.
Nesquik.
yeah, it is. That's exactly what it's like, and it just sits there. And then when you're trying to drink it, you get like shards off it, and it no. You kind of either have to scoop it off and eat it first.
Yeah.
And then it's so sharp in your mouth, a bit like Captain Crunches, like just lacerates the inside of your mouth.
Takes the skin of
Is
your
it
mouth
coffee
out.
chocolate crunch?
No,
No, it's just normal chocolate.
and stale's like stale Hershey powder on it, so it's not like a nice chocolate. They could
I was-
definitely do without it.
I was imagining like stale chunks of like Nescafe Gold Blend frozen coffee chunks on the top of it. That's...
That would be better. Yeah, I don't. The Viking coffee I think is a little bit overpriced, but lots of people.
I can do it with the booze in it. That's fine. No objections.
Just
to
get it without the
booze,
topping. There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. You could do it without the stale cereal. And there's sitting outside. There's not a huge amount of space to sit outside, but and make sure you take loads and loads of napkins because everything that you eat from there is sticky.
Yes.
That's been my experience. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter what you
flaky
choose.
and falls apart. It's
Flaky
just-
and sticky, and you
Yeah.
need lots of napkins. But then you've also got the store, which is the Fjording store, I think it's
Yeah.
called. And if you're
Now
lucky,
that's a place in itself as well, isn't
I
it?
know it's amazing.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, the first room, which is full of fragrance and Helly Hansen merch, Guinness, whose fragrances they're selling often as a gentleman will be there himself. I think I've only been in twice where he hasn't been there, trying to flog his wares. He's possibly the most Norwegian looking person I've ever seen in my entire life. But yeah, the Helly Hansen. How many times have I looked at the Helly Hansen kit? And John, you've been with me when I've walked around there, and I've gone, oh, I really like this. I nearly bought a hat, just like this. And I look at the price tag every time. I'm like, oh man, it's just so expensive.
We talk about cultural misappropriation, and you've got Helly
Yeah.
Hansen in the.
I think
Yeah.
that's
In
exactly
Norway
it,
shop.
Simon.
Yeah.
Spot on.
So expensive.
Yeah. One tip is to last time we were there, had them at the outlet at Vineland.
Okay.
So everything was like 50%
Every
off.
so often.
It's
Yeah.
still
I used,
expensive.
to wear,
50%.
I used to wear it for sailing. That's what I used to wear. Was all
Right.
Helly Hansen gear.
It's really
It was
good
the best,
quality
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
I actually wonder, and this might go back to the very origins of the pavilion, but I wonder whether or not they got Helly Hansen in as a long-term
Maybe.
investor,
Maybe.
Partner.
and
Yeah.
forevermore they have to sell Helly Hansen stuff within there.
I'd love to know
Because
how much
actually
they
there's no
actually
rhyme.
sell.
I know, it's bizarre, isn't it? It really is bizarre.
But I think as a store, it's quite interesting when you look inside. So you get through that first room, and then you get, there's a room which has got the kid cot stop in it, and then you get through into the main part of the store. And again, it's about looking up and looking around and seeing
Yeah.
all the detailing, all the woodwork, and all the little windows, and all the bits of dressing and storytelling that is within the store, because it's so easy just to walk past it all as you're sucking the air through your teeth at the price tags. You can miss stuff, and I know that there is an attraction in itself in the middle of that store that everybody has a photo taken with. John, I know that you do it every time, and that's the big troll.
Sorry, it's very childish, Claire. So please, if you listen to this, please don't do it, right? Because actually, as a photo and sticking your finger towards the troll's nose isn't
wasn't
big.
gonna mention that.
It isn't clever, but you know something? It's really funny. And every single time. And actually, I got a selfie from last year because for years and years, I've always made the kids do it. And we were walking through, and I thought, do you know something? I'm going to be that childish. I'm going to be that childish. I'm going to take a selfie of myself picking the troll's nose.
Yeah.
It's one of them. But it is such an amazing kind of sculpture. I can only describe it as a sculpture. It's just beautiful. And again, one of them things that just, again, look everywhere around you when you're in that place, because when you look at the flooring, the windows, the ceilings, everything is telling a different story. And they're telling the story of how, as a country, you know, it goes back to the exact sort of culture. I just think loads of people just come out, they come off the ride, walk through a shop, and then where are we going next?
Yeah. They
Take
miss
your
it.
time, just take it all in, because actually I think it's one of them places where the more and more you actually get to absorb different cultures. You know, again, talked about Josh before. You know, there's no rhyme, no reason as to why he would want to go to Norway in late November, but it's one of them places that's made an impression with him.
Yeah.
In younger years, where he now feels as if I'm going to go and see the real place, and that's the beauty of what Epcot manages to do.
I think that bit with the troll, it sort of harkens back to the original, setting for the Norway Pavilion, where you had Maelstrom rather than Frozen Ever After and the trolls and all of that stuff. And it is a big thing of Norwegian culture, as are Vikings, and there's obviously the opportunity to purchase a Viking helmet or just have your photo taken in a Viking helmet and a sword, and you will see generally middle-aged men walking around with a beer in their hand wearing a Viking helmet around World Showcase. That tends to be what I observe.
It feels really weird that we've spoken about the store in that order. Because for me,
always
it's
written
like
the other way
it's always
Yeah.
getting off the ride and then going through. So you have the frozen bit, and then you have everything else. So we've never gone in the store specifically to go in the store.
I think that's probably, but I've approached it that way because I tend to not bother waiting for Frozen Ever After. I don't. And so as an attraction, obviously you love it. What do other people think of Frozen Ever After?
Well, I know I'm in the minority, and you're all going to be shocked. But I prefer Frozen to Maelstrom.
Okay.
Right, hear me out. It's the same ride. People get so irate about they changed it. Like, it's the same ride. Anna and Elsa, Frozen, huge franchise. I think it's just fits better. They've got their own ride now. Little girls can go on and sing along with Elsa. I just think it fits better within a Disney park. And I will go and hang my head in shame and get ready for the stoning I'm about to get.
The trolls are coming for you. That's all.
Yeah.
There are trolls in Frozen.
Yeah, do you know something though, Robyn? I don't think you're too wide of the mark. I really don't, because actually, when you look at Maelstrom, and as much as I love Maelstrom, I really did. I thought it was a really good sort of ride and things like that.
Me too.
You have to actually understand that the re-rideability with it as a Frozen ride is much higher because of the interaction with the music, the interaction with the way that you actually go onto the ride, and you're within. Yeah, you have to queue up. Once you're on the ride, you feel as if you're within the film set, and you get that chance to actually be part of what of what can only be described as one of the biggest phenomenons as a film for many years. I actually feel that I've had to reel myself in over the years, because as much as I criticise the change of it, I can see why. Because Maelstrom never had the 45-minute to an hour queue.
No.
It was walk on, and it was walked through when you got to the film at the very end.
Yeah.
You know,
Did anyone ever watch that
nobody
film?
ever. I
Once.
watched it once, and the rest of the time it was like, "Come on, kids,
I mean,
let's get
most
get through
beautiful
before the
seating.
doors shut." Yep.
I don't think
Oh,
I
yeah.
ever really realised that there was a film to watch, because any time I went on it, everyone was walking through, so I just joined everyone else. Like it was a disused area.
It's like quick,
Yeah.
quick, get through. It's just like don't let those doors shut.
Don't
We'll be
engage
stuck
in
in
eye
here.
contact. Keep
We'll be
walking.
stuck in here for minutes. You know, we'll have to sit through 4.5 minutes of the film show.
We never even did Maelstrom, so
You missed out. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Maelstrom was it's a unique attraction, and I think one of the things to say about Epcot is lots of things are unique that you're never going to see them anywhere else. And to have an attraction which was about the cultural history of a Scandinavian country, you know, things like we all joke about the oil rig, you know, that is a huge part of Norwegian culture, and I love the Frozen animatronics. I think they're very clever. The one particularly with Sven with his tongue stuck to the eyes, it's brilliant. And I think you're right. I think there is a rerideability in terms of the attraction. I hate the fact that it breaks every day. Like I cannot think of a time where I've been in Epcot and Frozen hasn't gone down, and I don't understand, because if an attraction is that temperamental, surely there's some massive refurb that needs to happen.
It just felt like it was a re-theme, which we know it was a
was
re-theme.
it was just an overlay.
re-theme.
It was
But I
a
have to admit, every
rebrand.
time that I'm on it, I just like when you're on that lift hill, just that little bit when you're going up, and it's just juddery as anything.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, it's great.
yeah,
Love that.
But that
The one bit I do miss from Maelstrom, and this is, and again, as you approach the ride, if you look to the left, up and to the left of the, as you look at the ride door, there used to be a hole within the rockwork, and as you get to the reverse part of the ride, the back of the boat came out into Epcot.
visibility.
And
Yeah.
and it was
I
to me
remember
that was one of the most beautiful moments.
Yeah.
And you can still see, if you look at the rockwork, you will see
where-
where they filled that in.
Yeah.
It still lacks that, and
Yeah.
I know it's because of the way that they've done like the trolls within the actual area, and then the ride photo as well. It then means that they need the darkness to control whatever the light pollution would be, etc. But again, that's the one bit I do miss from the both rides, and I think it is a sad omission. But there you go. That's your little challenge when you're in Norway. Go and see the
bit where they
old
filled it in.
detail
Yeah.
where they filled that in.
The bit where on the ride you used to get over the falls.
Yeah,
By the trolls, like,
yeah.
threatening to toss you over the falls. For being so then the only other thing really in Norway that we haven't really talked about is Akershus, which is the table service restaurant. It is character dining. It is based on a real genuine 14th century castle in Oslo with the same name. The castle in Oslo is called Akershus. Who's been into Akershus? John, have you been in?
We did, and again, like I've said previously, if you've got boys, don't be put off with the whole Princess Storybook dining kind of stuff as well. It is a brilliant experience, and I have to admit, it is the one place I really want to go back to, purely on the basis of it was not just the atmosphere was absolutely cracking, the character interaction was just second to none, but the food was superb, and I think that for me was the biggest surprise. And you think, oh well, we're going to get loads of autographs because we're going to see loads of princesses. You get your autographs, blah blah blah. But actually, the food was actually for me that was the star of the show, because it really you go in with like low expectation of how good the food will be, and you come out and you're thinking, oh my word, that was one of the best and the most different meals that I've had whilst I've been in America, because it really does sort of hark back to proper Norwegian food.
It's a buffet starter, and it's like a smorgasbord starter. So there is fish, there are cheeses and hams and meats and breads, and so you can just help yourself, and salads, so starter.
And is it like a buffet that you would go up to, not
Yeah.
not like they didn't bring it to the table?
So for starters, you go up and you help yourself to the buffet
Okay.
of those things, and then the main course is chosen from a menu, a set menu. So you can pick.
okay,
There's like
that's
6 or 7
appealing.
different main courses. I had.
Yeah.
I remember having the
yeah.
the meatballs with mash and I would say loganberry sauce. So very much like you might choose if you were in a
IKEA.
well-known
Yeah.
furniture store.
Yes, I think that's exactly it.
Swedish descent. It was, the food was incredible, and then they do the dessert plate is a bit like some of the other character dinings where they bring a mixed plate of desserts for everyone to share. But the food is really, really good quality. I think it's surprisingly so for a character, because often character dining, you know, the food is like second rate compared to the, you know, people are there for the characters, they're not there for the dinner. I actually think that unfortunately Akershus is not a cuisine that necessarily is appealing to everyone. It's not your standard fare. You know, there are obviously going to be chicken tenders on the kids menu and things like that, but as adults it might not be something that appeals to everyone. So often you can get a reservation there much easier than potentially somewhere like Cinderella's Royal Table, where you're paying up front for a very, very expensive meal to meet the same characters and probably a few less.
Yes.
We did Akershus 2 years when Millie was probably 6 and 7. So we did it. Epcot was like day 2 of the holiday. We did Akershus for lunch. And that meant that we blasted out 6 character meet and greets of princesses that she wanted to meet on day 2, and we didn't have to stand in another queue to meet princesses. And I would say it was worth every single penny to get that done, because the character interaction was lengthy. The princesses were amazing. They were so brilliant in terms of the conversation, and you know, she met Belle and Ariel and who else? Aurora. I'm trying to remember who else there was. Snow White. It was lovely and really excellent quality character interaction.
And just memorable for the children as well. And, you know, I actually, my lasting memory is of every child in the restaurant with the princesses all in a conga line.
Yeah, they go round
the napkins with the napkins swirling, things like absolutely superb, and just like just and again. I know I keep coming back to this, but as boys, you kind of get that, you know, when you get that little bit inside you, are we doing the right thing? Are we kind of playing the wrong card? But the boys both absolutely lapped it up. They got so much attention that they come
because
out.
They were bored,
when you come out, and it's just like, do you know something? That was so perfectly done. For a family, you know, and I think they talk about the fact that it's like a family service kind of restaurant as well, and it's beautiful. It is one place that if you've never been, put it on your list. Go and just have a look again. Have a look at the menu, but you'll be so surprised at just how you come out of there and you just go, that was quite quintessentially Disney, but the food was absolutely superb.
I was just looking up the price, and it's for breakfast. It's $59 per adult and $38 per child.
Yeah,
and
that's the same as
lunch is $69.
See, I think lunch is probably a good buy at that.
Not bad.
Yeah,
it's the same price for dinner as well. I think.
Yeah. I think it's a good value opportunity, and if meet and greets are something important to you, I remember Millie having a conversation with Ariel for ages about why Flounder wasn't there when she was about 7. It was great.
That's a Millie question. I must admit, Claire. That is. Yeah, I'm proud of that.
It went on for about, I think, 7 or 8 minutes. It was great, and there was no sense of being rushed. It wasn't a hello to the table, photo, off I go.
That's
the
why I've never been. Yeah. We went to Cinderella's Royal Table once, and they literally came to the table, said hello, and then they didn't say anything else other than, may we take a portrait, and they'd stand there, and then they went, and we were like, did we really pay this much money for this?
Yeah.
It's completely different, and that's, like I say, it's the type of place that leaves a lasting memory.
Put it on your list. I think it's
definitely.
I will.
Wow. I think we are probably finished in Norway. And it
Actually,
is-
do you know what? Before we finish,
Oh.
does anyone remember when they had Vikings that would just stand out and interact with?
Yes.
is this in
the-
your dream?
No, they used to have
Yeah.
atmospheric characters or Vikings.
Streetmosphere
That were-
Vikings.
Streetmosphere Vikings. That's
Wow.
what they had. Oh, I feel
don't think
sad
I've
for you
ever
if you
seen that.
if you never saw
No, I
them.
don't think I ever did.
No.
The gods of the Vikings were they called?
Do you know what? That rings a bell. I've heard about it somewhere,
No.
but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember.
Was
that
but
at
they were
all.
definitely Vikings because I thought the first time we saw them, I said to Simon, "Are they just the guys that have bought the hats?" He was like, "No, what are you on?" Yeah, like he said, "Did they just buy their hat?" He was like, "No."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they were just walking around interacting with.
There is.
With the
I
guests.
found it on YouTube. Yes. No. Something from about 8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll have to
okay.
look that up because I would be surprised if I didn't see them, but you know, they don't.
Oh.
They're not ringing a bell.
No.
Yeah, but it's one of them things as well, though, that unfortunately, it's that detail that kind of, over time, if you know, there are probably two people that were on the job list, and you're thinking, can we save it? Can we save a few dollars?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Right. They went the
Let's
same
let
ways.
that go.
Mhm.
And yeah, and in some ways, I could kind of understand that.
Is
Because
it
in
possibly
some
one
ways,
of those ones that actually was there part time, but then maybe during COVID
They
and
got cut and
and then-
did
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Maybe.
And very difficult to kind of reintroduce into the pavilion, but
Yeah.
yeah, sadly missed.
Wow. I think we need more time. This is clearly not all going to fit in one show, and my best attempts at thinking, oh, we'll get halfway around World Showcase, we'll get to American Adventure in show one, and that is clearly not going to happen. So we're going to pause our little tour for now, and we can regroup. So if you want to keep an eye out for the Great British Mickey Waffle umbrella or flag that I'll be waving at the front of the tour group to keep you all on track, you can rejoin us next month, and we'll continue our walk around the lagoon to find some more countries. Do you know what? Actually, I'm thinking that would be quite cool to have GB Mickey Waffle umbrellas made.
Oh wow.
That would be
Ben,
good.
can we add them to the merch? Ponchos. Can we get Great British Mickey Waffle branded ponchos?
I've got visions of us in like Epcot in
August.
August.
Yeah. Oh,
In
we
your
must
sweaty
be.
ponchos.
We must be able to get them
I need
printed.
something to go on the back of the rucksack. That'd be even
Yeah.
better. The park bag with
Man, that's what we
GB
need.
Mickey one.
Right.
Let's
Sorry, my brain's going.
definitely.
a
That's
million miles
another
an
thing.
hour. It has been amazing fun, and I am hungry, thirsty, and ready to visit Epcot. And then what I need to know from people listening, we've covered Mexico and Norway, but which pavilion is your favourite? So come to the Waffler's Arms and tell us all about your visits to Epcot, what you think is your favourite pavilion and why. Is there something that you always have to buy when you visit? What do you choose in the bakery in Norway? We want to know what your Epcot day looks like. So join us in our socials. Keep up to date with everything that we do at Great British Mickey Waffle, at GB Mickey Waffle on all socials, and also on our YouTube channel, Great British Mickey Waffle. We have a live show every week. It's usually on a Wednesday, but if you hit the like and subscribe button, it just means that you'll get notified, because sometimes we might change it up a little bit, and sometimes we might do some extra content. So if you haven't done that little thumbs up and subscribe, you won't get notified. So do that, and then you'll know when we are going live and what we're doing. So thank you for being here. It's been quite an exciting couple of countries. The correct two to start with. I am off to find a margarita, I think. So
Yeah, definitely.
thank you everyone for being here, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
We'll see you real soon.
Now my wheels in